Let me put this on
Hello,
D.
hello. We're live. So sorry. So sorry, but you know how technology is. When they don't want to work, it don't want to work. so, welcome tonight for our live discussion of Sun and Sky by Jetta Mayberry. Let's just hope Jetta Mayberry don't have as much trouble as I had getting on this thing.
He won't. He won't. We good. We good.
That would be terrible. Um, welcome. I see we have in the room, we have Bernie M, we have Alba, we have Val, we have Tanya, we have Alicia, Pretty Brown Our Reader. Welcome. We got Rosa,
Oh, I can look at the
Latrice,
comments over here.
Belinda's Book Nook.
There we go.
Welcome, welcome. I'm Alola. Yeah, welcome to the gang here to discuss Sun and Skies. So, Jetta Mayberry won't be here until like around 9:30. He's a little bit on a tight schedule, so he'll only be with us for about an hour. So we're just gonna sort of start
I'm
talking.
kind of happy that he's on a tight schedule as a new author. That's a good thing. I'm not mad at
No,
it.
no, no, because he on a tight schedule because he has an event to go to, and so yeah. So I said, look, if you're making 1 hour for us, look, we'll take it. Okay. Um, okay, so the book. What did you think?
Michael, you go first.
No, you go first.
Come on, Michael. What you think?
Um, there are aspects of it that I did enjoy. And I have one problem, and I think that's what really pushed me from loving it. And it's really, I think it's just like I don't know if it's like a me thing, but it's really the way that the sentences are structured. If that makes any sense. It's like, it's weird to say because it I understand the like it's how do I it's this like high writing, if that makes any sense, like this style of writing, I get it, but for me sometimes it didn't work in what I thought the author was trying to deliver. um like sometimes when they speak, it just wasn't jiving with me, like how they spoke is wasn't how I comprehended people speaking, if that makes any sense.
It
um
does.
yeah, so that was my biggest part of it. And I think like also from like the overall structure, I think it really lost me in the middle because it I think it felt almost like I was like, where is this going exactly? But in the end, it really did pick up for me. But overall, I did like it.
Yeah, I struggled with it.
Yeah,
Overall, I did enjoy the reading experience. It was definitely a different reading experience. Y'all know when I read books, I read from like an emotional
Yeah.
standpoint. So I want that connection with the character, and there was a lot of start and stop for me. It had like telegraph feel, like that I you like I'm gonna say this, stop, and that's the end of the chapter. Then it's a whole nother phrase, stop. Um, and with that kind of writing, it was very difficult for me to form a connection. It also feels like it's written like it's from Penny's perspective, but it's also standoffish. And I don't know if that was
yeah,
It
to
is
lead
standoffish.
into,
Yeah.
yeah, to lead into or get across how different Penny thought.
Yeah.
Because there are references that she made to being strange, being weird. Um, and so not being able to, it was almost like reading through a gauze and being
mm,
close, being near this character, but every time I would be able to actually touch the character, something came in and impeded and pushed me back further than I was before. So I
Yeah.
wasn't able to make that connection with her. With
Mhm.
any of the characters really. And then Didi and I shared this with you, Didi. It's like the time outside of time, like the
Yeah, the
passage of
time
time.
was a problem for
Mm.
me.
Yeah, the passage of time. Like when we got to what the last three chapters, I think, and she reveals that she's 32 years old, and I'm like, bitch, I'm thinking you was 18. Like, where did this?
No, no, I didn't think she was 18 now,
I'm
but I
exaggerating.
didn't
You know,
think she
I'm
was 32.
exaggerating, but
Yeah, I didn't think she was 32, but I knew she wasn't 18. But yeah, I know
32. That's how old I am.
I was just like, where did 17 years go? Like it did not feel like
no,
17
it
years
doesn't
passed.
feel like 17 years, but not only that, why does it feel like it's 1940?
Yes, when Katrina was mentioned, because I when we
Oh,
talked about that and you said Afghanistan, I was like, I totally missed that.
yeah,
But when Katrina was mentioned, I was like, holy shit, this is in
yeah,
the 20,000, this is in the
exactly. That's why I was
2010s.
like, why does it feel to me like this is 1940s or something, when in fact it's like a modern story? And I don't know if it's because it's like the country they try to make, and then in the beginning she's young, so they try to make her sound
Mm.
kind of youngish, and you can kind of see through the sections where you're in her mind that she gets older as the story goes on, but you have no idea how much older.
How? Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
hard to
And how
distinguish.
she makes, like how she gets, because there's a whole uh character arc, and I feel like relationships in stories are characters, and
Yeah,
there's a whole character arc that happens with her and Graham's relationship that I think we don't get to see. And so when Graham dies and she all of a sudden starts spouting things in the way that Graham would say
Graham,
things,
yeah.
it's like y'all talked.
Mhm.
uh, y'all talk beyond. Now one scene that got me,
Which
that
one?
I was like, this is good, this is good, is the
Which one?
ambulance scene when she has the miscarriage.
Oh yeah,
That
Mm.
was a good
yeah,
that was written so well.
yeah. That was a good scene.
That was so, and the scene, like so there were bits, the scene when they go and visit August
Yes.
granddaddy.
Yeah, that
That
was
Yes.
good
was
too.
so, that
Yeah, it's really
exchange there,
good.
and there are so many bits and pieces of that in the story that
But you
help
said
move
it
you
right when you
along.
said bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And I think it's because the book, I don't know, because the book is based, it's like five parts. And then you have under the five, each part, you have a big chapter. And then you have these little sequences. But what it does is it feels more like vignettes, little vignettes of what, of the different people that she meets, and along the way of her growing older and learning what her place is in this village, and learning what the past of her family is in this village.
Learning that corn is not corn. Corn is
Corn is
corn
not
with a K.
corn. Mm-mm, corn.
And her, like
Hey,
her legacy is like, her Graham's daddy was low key a pimp.
yeah,
Her grandmother was low key a madam, and I say low
madam.
key because you're not like the payment. The people who are having the dalliances are not getting paid, but you are being supported because you are
Mm.
basically
Exactly.
organizing these people's booty schedules.
Exactly. But the thing is,
Can I get that job?
like
Can I will organize all of your sexual dalliances and have you, I got the planners to make it happen, boo. I can, all
but the
you got to
thing
Yes.
do
is,
is support me financially. That's it.
how grandma managed to to raise her and tell her everything but that.
But that, but that.
Like,
Could
But
you
I think
imagine?
also, I think
but we're
if
not gonna talk about
grandma
that.
I think if grandma had gotten the actual chance, because we also don't know how old Graham and her mom are.
No.
I think if
Mm.
Graham had gotten the actual chance to grow old,
Mhm.
she may have relayed that info, because Graham was told that it got either relayed that information from her dad or observed it and was not bright enough. That's not the word. Observant enough.
Observant enough, yeah.
Observant enough to realize what was going on, all the while Penny wasn't. And also, by the time Graham got to her age, she probably had it as some kind of well-oiled clandestine machine. But I think if Graham had gotten the opportunity to actually grow older,
I really do.
She would have told her.
Yeah, that's out of the fact that, you know, because in the beginning she's really young. So, but also the grandmother is, she's almost like, I feel like the grandmother felt like sugar to me. You know, it's like,
oh yeah,
you know, it's like you eat the
Yes.
sugar right after the bad medicine kind
Yeah.
of situation. Like, and the more you suck on the candy, the more pleasurable it is, and you forget about all the other stuff that's around that's not looking or feeling right or whatever. And that's what the grandmother was for me. And I was like, okay, what a matriarch of the family kind of character to bring out in a book, you know.
While we talking about matriarchs,
mm,
can I my question we start, and of course at the beginning of the book when we're reading the first generation section, we don't know who is talking. At the end of the book, we know who that is. We start and end with Miss Spinnaker.
yeah.
Why? Well, for the entirety of the book,
Mm.
we only have like 3 conversations with her that we're privy to in the story.
Yeah, that are
All she does is look out of the window, and yes, she's Graham's mom, but Graham doesn't have a relationship with her.
Nope.
Obviously, Graham knows who she is because Penny's mother knows who she is.
And Penny's mother just reads her for filth.
Yes, and that was great, but we have no idea why. And then here comes Champagne, who catches a whole ass attitude.
Champagne, I love the name. I love how it's spelled. Champagne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And has a whole attitude with Penny because Penny, she's like, you're not even paying attention to what's going on around you. How could you not know this? But it also leads back to Penny sharing the interaction with Harold. I didn't like that interaction. I didn't like her calling him weird and a freak in a negative way. But also them being the same. Them both sharing, sharing in that
being outsiders.
Being outsiders, being looked at differently. I think that bleeds back into the fact that she's so unobservant, because Graham told her that she raised corn. She just didn't tell her what the corn was.
Yeah.
But I did like the way he circled back on Harold. I think it was Harold. No, sorry. I'm sorry. Forget what I just said. I like how he circled back, because when she sends Penny down to stay with her grandmother, it's because there's a boy exposing himself outside of her bedroom window.
Yes.
But then he circles back later on and explains.
Not exposing himself, jerking off.
Okay, whatever.
And he didn't even know how to do it well, because he got his pants all the way down to his ankles. Like, you don't have to go that deep in to get the job done.
No, you
outside.
He was a kid. But anyway, so I like how he circled back to explain.
And a kid from out of town.
I like that part, that he explained what was going on about that. Now, wait, can I ask you this? Do you think that Graham gave Penny something so she would lose her baby?
Yes.
I do too. I think she gave her something to lose her baby.
Fuck the both of you that I did not make that damn
connection.
And
you know why I made that?
Yes, because there's a part in there where it was like a really. I said, "Oh, come on."
Give me the fucking. I am so.
Yeah, there's a part in there. It's like one quick sentence. She's comforting her, and she said, "Oh, here, drink this." And I was like, "Oh, that's it. That's it." And then afterwards, she loses the baby.
I need a page number. Somebody give me a page number.
Again, because even her mother said, "I knew my mother was going to take care of that."
She gave her the money.
That was my confirmation.
She gave her the money. She said, "Well, she gave." It made it seem like Penny's mom was giving her money, so
And I wanted to think that Graham was just like,
No, girl, Graham
no,
was a
no,
manipulator. Come on
no,
now. I
she
thought she
didn't
was taught that, Tatiana.
she didn't
I
want the
missed
baby.
it, damn it, I missed it.
Honey, when she gave her something to drink, I said, "Oh Lord."
Where is somebody give me a
It's
page
around
number?
Let me see if I can
hold on, wait.
find it.
It's
I think I
page
marked it.
I think it's 38 is around
Okay,
where it's cut.
I knew I was too far. I was in the 50s.
No, yeah, it's 38 around there.
Yeah, I think it says the nurse Lady Graham took me to see, warned that the pills might make me ill. Having gone the first trimester without any supplements, I thought a pregnant woman was supposed to feel sick.
sick.
So I said nothing when I started spotting. Took it as a sign the drugs were at work cleansing my womb for the baby to continue growing
Take
inside.
out the R and
No,
switch the O and the F. Damn
nah.
it.
Mm-mm. The morning I woke up doubled over in pain. That's when I was like, oh, child, that grandma at work, honey.
she probably knew the nurse.
Work. Okay.
I mean, Graham set up. Look, do you know how much you control when you control? You are coordinating the booty dalliances of an
Yeah,
entire
well, she
town.
coordinated that abortion too, honey. I mean,
Right. So you have those connections. There are people, nobody in this town, everybody in this town is fucking each other. We don't have no kids who don't know who their daddy is.
mm.
And whose daddy is somebody else's, is not somebody else's husband.
that whole town is that whole little town is like,
I need me a
there should be
PPU. I got planners. I'm just
running around that town, honey.
Could you imagine someone doing a like journal with me and then be like, okay,
I would do that. I would totally do that. And just hide the
you know what? That would be a good marketing for this. Well, that would spoil it. Never mind. That would spoil it. Never mind. That would spoil the story.
A booty planner, a Sun and Sky booty planner. Look, there are people that I know who were adults when I was a kid who could use a Sun and Sky booty planner.
I'm not saying that I know this, but allegedly there are these things called Get Ready With Me, where people get ready, like makeup and whatnot, because they are going on a excursion.
Oh.
And you can find it on YouTube.
Oh.
And it's funny.
You need to do your skincare stuff. I'm just saying.
But yeah, that would have been funny, but it would spoil the book because that is like a major part of the story.
Yeah. Did that surprise you when you started reading? You were just like, what the heck? I mean, was it what you expected?
It was comical. It was comical because this man comes into the beauty salon to just have casual conversation and nobody's taking the bait. And he's like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna just leave. And then apparently the corn that he is looking for is some damn good corn because he turns around and throws it all on the line. Anybody know where I can get some corn? Whoever it is, they got that good, and he was ready. He was like, I'm not leaving out here without my arrangement.
Yeah, I need my corn. Where's my corn? Where's my corn with a K? And I don't mean
the minute that's when it clicked for me. The minute that Penny speaks up and says, my gram used to raise corn, and he was like, that's when it all clicked. I was like, your grandma had ass.
I was so surprised. I was like, what the heck?
It was your grandma had ass. Her and Mr. Graves have an actual situation going on. Everything clicked.
Like they got a full-blown relationship going on there.
Yes, and Miss Graves was so petty and jealous.
Miss Graves she grave, okay, for real.
And you know what though? But her demeanor and the status that seemed to be put behind in the writing of the story,
Yeah.
it seemed to be put behind her white Cadillac, also
Yeah.
threw me out of time, because
Yeah.
I'm like, at what point, who gives a fuck if you got a white Cadillac, unless it's like the 40s or the 50s,
But
Mm.
it
and
is
this
a
is a
small
huge
town, you
status
know.
thing for a Black person
It
to have
is
a
a
white
small
Caddy.
town, and that could be like a status symbol in a
Symbol.
small town really easily, that you drive a white Cadillac. Like, I don't care about that shit, but
I don't
believe me,
either.
cars are status symbols to a certain extent. You know, I mean, I can imagine her with her white Cadillac with the white wall tires,
Her white hair with her white hat. I
the
could
whole
not
thing.
picture her as Black. Did y'all have a problem picturing her as Black?
I
You know,
I
I didn't
assumed
know
everybody was
her as
Black.
black.
I assumed everybody was Black, but
Yeah.
just the way I don't know. I don't know what it was. I had to remind myself, this is a Black woman.
Okay, Jetta Midberry is coming in, guys.
Okay.
Hey, Jetta,
Hi,
Hi,
hi.
how are
can you all hear
you?
me? I'm
Yes.
great.
Yes,
How are
we
you?
can do, yeah. Thanks for coming tonight. We really, really appreciate you coming to talk about your book with us. We've been discussing now for like maybe about
Uh-oh.
20, 25 minutes.
We lost him.
Oh, he'll come back.
Yeah, he may be having some
Yeah, my
technical.
camera overheated.
Oh,
I
you're
figured that's what happened with yours. You and your
okay. Well, we'll
switcheroo
wait
She
for
said.
him to
there,
come
bro.
back. So
That's
everybody
just
that's
that.
watching, get your questions ready. If you have any questions, you can start putting them in
I
the comment
have, I think,
section.
one question, and we may have the same. No, I have two, and I think you and I have the same question. So one of the questions are the same.
Am
Hey,
I
you're
back?
back. Great.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks so much for coming and talking to us about your book, Sun and Sky, which we've been discussing now for the past 20, 25 minutes. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It was quite the experience. I got a big surprise. I wasn't sure what this was. I mean, I knew it had like a female story, mother, granddaughter, grandmother, and then that town though. I was like,
Right.
wow,
Yeah.
what a town is this? So
Oh,
I'm
should
gonna
I
go
ask
with
3 questions?
the
Okay.
first question, which is, how did you come up with this story? Did you come up with the story first, or was it one of the characters that appeared to you first?
It was really one of the characters that appeared first. I attempted to write a story, and I say attempt because it's still kind of on my low burner pile. But
Mhm.
it Penny Hill appeared in that story, and Penny Hill by name, and she was in New York at the time in a neighborhood, and for the most part was overlooked. But one boy took note of her, and the whole circumstance that unfolds, that he's creeping outside her window, watching her change. The Chinaman from down the block kind of comes to her rescue. All of that appeared in another narrative that's
Okay.
never been published. But I was just curious to know, who is this girl? Why was she at the time at such a disadvantage, and how might she evolve over time? So that's
Mm.
where the story came from. And then just tidbits of my life, my upbringing. I grew up from New York originally, but grew up in Connecticut, so from the Northeast. But I went to
Mhm.
school in the South. I went to school in
Okay.
North
Mm.
Carolina, and then I went to Georgia. I worked in Alabama
Hey.
at a point. And
Okay.
just that huge sense of dislocation, going from even a not so harmonious situation that Penny Hill was living in, but it was familiar to her, and being thrust from that familiar into something that, even though her grandmother is there, that she doesn't know, it's disruptive. So I wanted to see what effect that would have on her.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
Where
good.
did you if you don't mind me asking, where did you go in Georgia? Because I'm in Georgia.
Okay, I went to Georgia Tech
Ah, okay.
Cool.
in Atlanta.
And where did you live? I'm from North Carolina.
All right.
Oh,
all of the nosiness out of the way first.
Yes, so I went to North Carolina A&T in Greensboro, Aggie Pride.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of I don't know, have this. My grandmother is from Savannah, Georgia. So even though I grew up in the Northeast, I have this affinity for the South and just this, and I'm in Texas now, so there was a draw. Part of it was to get away from I don't like cold weather, despite what people might think, just because I grew up in
Texas
that.
is having cold weather, so
We're at 38 degrees right now, so I don't know
yeah.
what to make of it. But
38.
I wanted to take this character. Now, tidbits of the town are things that I just encountered. I,
Mm.
met a guy who talked about, someone said, "Oh, I saw your dad's car, but it was down the street." And it's like, "Oh yeah, he lives there sometimes." And it
It's
was just this
dirty.
whole casual circumstance of,
Yeah.
yeah, my dad's car is parked in front of our house sometimes. Sometimes it's parked down the street. And Thierry Jones's Silver Sparrow comes to mind,
Yep.
where
Mm.
she painted this picture that one party, one woman knew the entire story, the entire circumstance. One daughter knows the whole circumstance. I'm painting a scenario in Picayune where there's just this, it's a
Mm.
circle. And you're either
Yes.
on the circle or you're outside the circle or you're oblivious to it. And that just draws some lines of conflict between
Mhm.
characters by establishing this circle and just this casual way of doing things. And even Graham, she wasn't party to the circle. She was kind of thrust into it. I wouldn't say unwittingly, but her family circumstance threw her in the middle of things, and she tried to manage things best she could. Not that she condoned anything, but she's aware of it. And then Penny kind of steps in, inherits responsibility for keeping the peace once Graham is
Okay. You have another question, Tatiana?
Um, yes, my question is about Miss Spinnaker because we
gone. All
don't
right.
at the end we discover that it's Miss
Mm.
Spinnaker who's having the conversation that we start at the beginning of the book.
Right.
And just her, like, your thoughts behind her overall character, because we don't get to experience a lot of her in the story, and then we don't know, like, the whole revelation that Champagne gives to Penny as to, like, how can you not know this? Also great conversation
Mm.
between the
Yeah,
sisters
that
who
was
really
good.
haven't talked much over the years. um and then there's no more communication with Miss Spinnaker, like no desire to talk to her ever again. So, like, I just was curious about the importance of have her voice be at the start and the end of this story.
Yeah. And she was really a catalyst for the rest of the discussion. So the title, and I don't know, you guys haven't asked me yet, but where the title comes from, it's really, I originally entitled the story Slow Train Coming. And there's a chapter in here, something about slow trains, and it was meant to be about your fate. And your fate is kind of slowly walking you down. And without the right agency, you can't escape your fate. Things are going to happen to you against your will. And then there was a point, and if you guys, if we have the opportunity, there's just a point something I'd like to point out in the book itself, which for me was the turning point for Penny when she finally steps into Graham's shoes. But ultimately, that's where the title Sun is Sky came about, really from what I call the circle of mothering. So from mother to daughter, back around to grandmother, um,
Mm.
they're so much alike, but they work so hard to distance themselves from one another's ways. And over the course of the book, Penny starts to realize the similarities to her mother, even though she wishes to deny those things. But her mother tripped on the same similar things that Penny tripped on. That Graham, she begins to realize her similarities to Graham. And the metaphor there is sun is a part of the sky, no matter what you do. You can't separate the two. So
Mhm.
Miss Spinnaker is outside of that, and she relinquished the right, in her words, relinquished the right to be part of that family. But she set up this whole. I mean, think about, as a matriarch, she's created these 3, 4 generations of people that come from her line. She's cut off from them, but she's, behind side, inside silent walls. She's hoping the very best for them, even though she's inept, she's incapable. But I think the story would have been different had Penny's grandmother had a relationship with Miss Spinnaker. It would have taken a different turn. She may not have been as strong as she was. She may not have taken as much on her own shoulders had she had Miss Spinnaker, her mother, lean on. And it was just something that was, I wanted to be careful with. I didn't want to, mislead the reader. I didn't want to have this secret. There are hints along the way of who she is. So I didn't want this big, enormous reveal, but I also didn't want her to have a lot of influence over their lives. I wanted them to, in that circle from, mother to daughter, back around to grandmother, I wanted them to work out as much as they could on their own.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you talk to us about August? And why did you decide to make him with blue eyes?
Is that a
Interesting.
Toni Morrison reference?
It is
Or
not.
a Pearl Cleage reference.
If I were that clever, I would have picked one of them. But it's more from.
That's why I'm asking, because I was like,
because I thought about the Bluest Eye and Pearl Cleage as a character in her story whose name is Baby Blue or something blue, but his eyes are blue and he's dark skinned.
Right. But it was more, I wanted to draw, and I try to stay away from, just being colorist, but my mother is darker than me. My grandmother is darker than her. And there's just a richness to that. So I wanted Penny to step into the position of just looking around at people. When she meets August's family, she remarks how fair they are in relation to him, how much sun they've seen. And it was just a distinction. Now, I probably have a man crush on, I can't think of the actor's name right now, but there's an actor, light-skinned guy, got blue eyes. And
yes.
I wanted someone distinct. I wanted someone that we could point to and just conjure an image. And while I was writing, I probably had his image in mind. Michael.
I need to know who this guy is.
I see him. Oh my God, I see him.
Yeah. If you find it, please let us know.
I had another question. And I didn't write
Michael
it down.
Ealy is who you're thinking of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember him. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was channeling him while I was writing, and that's the reason, just to have a very distinct character in the way he dressed, and the kerchief sticking out of his pocket matches the band around his hat. He's uncharacteristic for Picayune. He doesn't look like the typical man from Picayune, and that catches her attention, catches her eye.
And making him a luggage salesman. Their first kiss is so disgustingly awkward.
French luggage.
It is so I felt, and I don't feel secondhand embarrassment, but I felt her build up an excitement over having this thing happen. And then it happens and it's like, well, that sucked.
Yeah, French luggage, selling it in a small town in Mississippi.
In a small town.
Yeah.
It's like the awkwardness of their relationship, period, was kind of apparent. But then also I liked that it got to the point where they didn't, there was really no recollection of who started what. The you kissed me. No, you kissed me. Well, you kissed me back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I really like that. But man, that I actually felt secondhand embarrassment for her, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to present her as overly sexualized. When you think about, she starts out teenage pregnancy. She gets involved with a man who's involved somewhere else. I wanted her to still have some innocence, some awkwardness that, again, over the course of the narrative, over time, she has to work through. She evolves beyond that. And he was necessary in that evolution. I mean, the first kiss is one thing, but their first night together, beneath the light of a half-lit moon is a different story.
Right. It's a very different story.
Very different story, yeah. Somebody said in the comment section, can we get a book about August's grandfather?
Yes.
He was quite a character.
Yes.
Yeah. If I were going to write historical fiction, there were two themes that really intrigued me. The first would be black cowboys,
Mm,
and he wasn't a cowboy necessarily, but he was a horseman,
mhm.
and just the rapport that he developed. His success in the horse racing business was he saw that big beast, that completely harmless, wouldn't harm a flea, but just this powerful beast. And he needed to connect with that beast in a way to get it to run. So there is a story to tell there. There is something that could be of interest. The the other theme that interests me is just when you look at um, I don't know if you're familiar with Bubba Wallace, who's now a NASCAR driver, Lewis Hamilton, who's a Formula One driver.
Yeah.
But if you think down the line of NASCAR and just race car driving grew out of the
Horse racing.
moonshine business, the bootleg business, and there were some black guys who souped up their cars because they were running whatever they were running back then. They were the
Yes.
drug dealers in the day. So who was the first black race car driver, and where did what was his what's his origin story? How did he get into racing? What is his background? So yeah,
I didn't know
there
that.
could be a Grandpa Gossett story in there. There could be a bootleg racer
Right.
story.
I did not know that. That is a very interesting tidbit of knowledge.
Mm,
Yeah,
I will say, as someone who I read, I won't say a lot, but I read a good amount of historical fiction and also a good amount of fantasy. And I appreciated the pride that his grandfather had and what he did, because a lot of times in those types of books, those who are the tenders of horses or the groomers of horses, they are
right.
looked down upon.
Mm.
And uh he was so sure of himself
mhm.
and
Right.
knew that he was good at it, and presented it in a way that, like, this is what I can do and nobody can do this like me. And I
Right.
really like that.
I have
Yeah,
another
and as a
question.
trainer, please go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, just as a trainer, he's probably seen more award-winning horses, won the Derby more times than a jockey
Mm,
may have won, more times than an owner may have won, because he's got access to more horses over the course
Hmm.
of his career, and should take pride in that. And I kind of used his wife to tell a bit of the story, because he's not a braggadocious guy. He's in a white t-shirt, smoking a cigarette with one eye squinted, and that's all he wants to do. But she told the story for him.
yeah.
This is where he's been. This is what he accomplished.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about the structure of the book because I
Yes.
found it to be something very different from what I have read in the past. I don't think I've read anything with such a particular structure as this one. Is this because your book has moments where it feels like they're vignettes that we're reading of each encounter that Penny has with different people in the town. And I was wondering if it's because of the way you originally started to write this book. Is that why it feels like this, like that there's like these vignettes, or was that like what you intended?
Yeah, I don't know if there may be a writer out there that says what they intended wound up on the page. I'm
Mm.
not one of those writers.
Mhm.
Um, so I tend to have an idea where I want things to go, where I want things to land. And I knew for the most part what the resolution with August would be. But then there are just so many things. There's no one on this planet who can say everything I am is everything that you know I put in myself. It's the encounters. It's the people that we meet. I tried to find, some of the encounters are. I tried to spend a lot of time on similar yet different. If you take if you take Penny compared to Miss Thula's nieces,
Mm,
similar yet different.
yet different.
They're all from somewhere else. She talked about the one niece that she's trying to guess where she's from. And if you look at, the warmth of other suns, a Mississippi migration to New York is not that common. Following the Mississippi north and going to Chicago or Detroit would have been more commonplace. But for whatever reason, Penny came from New York, but she's trying to guess where's Shireen from. She's probably from somewhere I don't know, because we'd have a way to connect otherwise. So a lot of the interactions I use to, because later, if with the long lens of history, we're going to judge these characters and we're going to say, look at the things that Penny got herself into, and how different is it than something Shireen might have done? How different is she from Miss Thula? But there are always differences. I always try to lean on those small differences. So some of the vignettes, as you say, are to just have material to pull from later to compare Penny to. One of them that I don't know, I think I spent a bit of time on was just the whole idea of Bunk and his brother Booker.
Yeah.
And you can say that that's maybe even a story in and of itself, but I create this, I talked about the circle, and you're either in it, you're outside of it, or you're oblivious to it. That kind of thing has to have a consequence. There has to be a far extreme, and Bunk and his wife is the far extreme consequence of something like that going on in a small town.
Yeah.
What's more interesting is I borrowed that from something that occurred my freshman year at A&T, right outside the campus. There was a guy who rode up Market Street and shot his wife, and her car rolled to rest right on the edge of campus. And the next morning, I'm in the barbershop, and all they could talk about was how good a shot that guy must have been. They didn't talk about the woman. They didn't talk about what led him there. They just talked on and on about how, and I lifted the line directly, didn't leave nary a scratch on the frame of her window. A country boy and a shotgun are a thing to be reckoned with. Wow. So that was something that I've held on to for years and years and years. It just struck me as, I'm away from home. I'm at college. This guy kills his wife, and all we can talk about is a country boy and a shotgun. It just never left me. And then when I needed something to, it's one thing to talk about the circle and just have people intermingling and no big deal. We never talk about it anymore, but there has to be a consequence. Graham and Mr. Graves are another similar yet different. You can argue, were they part of the circle? Were they not part of the circle? I tried to be a little more subtle with that. But when you look at the relationship that they form, this woman is years gone. She's years in the grave, and he's still going over to check on her granddaughter, to see how she's doing.
He's hiding letters. He's told the postman to not deliver letters from August to her.
Yeah.
Right. And he feels he's doing that. That's what Graham would have wanted. Graham would have done the same. Graham would have tried to protect her from the thing that Graham and Mr. Graves had gone through. Miss Thula wouldn't form that kind of connection. So I go into a lot of different scenarios to draw the lines of similar yet different.
I have a question that I meant to ask earlier, but I'm going to bust in and ask it now. Who picked Penny up from the bus station?
I'll use what was Langston Hughes? He had a character that was everybody or nobody. It's nobody. It's just nobody. It's a guy.
I want to make it Bunk. Like I want to make it Bunk. I want to make this, because Penny has after I finished it, I went back and reread a couple of spots. And that part really intrigued me, because again, it was the line that he said, "There's not a person in this town who doesn't know who your Graham is, and wouldn't have shown up to pick you up if they if they could." And then also there's this responsibility that Penny ends up feeling to Bunk after he's in the, once he's in the clink on death row for killing his wife, and just like that feeling of responsibility that she has, even though she was not involved in raising corn at that time. Yeah.
Right. So the guy who picks her up, though, he is party to the circle. He's just repaying, he's going to fill somebody's gas tank or buy somebody else a loaf of bread, or he's going to pick somebody up from the train station or the bus station. So Bunk wasn't party to the circle. Bunk was a guy who he loved his wife in whatever way he loved his wife, and didn't know what was going on until he knew about it. And then he snapped. So the two, they can't be the same person, because one is party to the circle, one is not. Now, in terms of the responsibility, again, Penny staring at her mother, watching her grandmother, and trying to, just the whole bit about her putting on Graham's high heel shoes and wobbling downtown, she's trying to fit into one of those women or the other. So when Graham passes and Penny finally comes to learn of the family history and the entanglement and how they have some responsibility for holding this whole thing together, that's where the responsibility comes to. She's not responsible to Bunk necessarily. She's trying to fulfill her grandmother's obligation. Now, the fact that Bunk first greets her by offering his condolences, thanking her for all his grandmother tried to do, that's where the connection is formed.
Okay. There's a question in the comments section. It says, did you spend time in a lot of beauty salons? I really enjoyed the dialogue and interactions in the beauty salon.
I love Lamar.
Yeah, Lamar.
Yeah. Well, some of it, yes, some of it I've physically spent time. There are barbershops that are connected to beauty salons, and you hear some of the conversation. But it's also, in part from just reading stories. I think in Silver Sparrow, the other girl's mother ran a beauty salon. Yeah. And I also took exception. This is a book that's in a long time in the making. And I had an acquisition editor pick the book up. She did the whole send me 10 pages, send me 3 chapters, send me 5 chapters, send me the whole book. Ultimately elected to pass on it. And part of her reason for passing is they spend so much time in the hair salon. And I take exception to that because, the barbershop for Black people, that's our country.
Yeah.
That's where we socialize. That's where we go. That's where we, interact.
That's where you get the community updates, especially in a small town.
That and church. Those are our two places. So I wanted to spend a lot of time. Excuse me?
There is no church.
Yeah.
That just clicked. Like, this is a small country town. Yeah. There's no church.
It has to have a bar.
Talk about salon. Yeah, I talk about church when I'm talking about the pecking order in town. On their side of town, the Mr. Graves, the coroner, stands only behind a few prominent ministers. But she only goes to church. Actually, she ducks an opportunity. I think Easter, she ducks an invitation to go to church. So there were chances to go there, but we don't.
Yeah, but it doesn't show up as a major point in the story.
No,
and that's
not at all.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
Latent observation.
Okay, and then Belinda says, how did Penny survive without a job once Graham is gone? Is the whole town taking care of her? Yeah, that's what I thought. More or less.
And that's if you think about a community where keeping one another's secret is the currency. Yeah. I'm going to overpay at the gas station. I'm going to overpay at the grocery store. I'm going to do all these things because that's my payment for entry into the circle. And Graham is at the top of all of that. So whatever little overages, let's say her house is already paid for because it started as her father's land. He parceled it off to create all these spaces, but there had to be taxes to pay. There's utilities. There's all kinds of things. And somehow for Graham, that was all taken care of. Yeah. So Penny felt like all this responsibility is now going to land on me. How am I going to pay the utilities? How am I going to keep the lights on? And she went around looking for Graham's paperwork, but she's in a town where for Graham, there is no money spent. It's all taken care of. I mean, just think about Mr. Graves being able to intercept her mail. That can only happen in Brooklyn. You can't do that in Brooklyn. No, you
No.
can't do
So
that.
organized. He gave it to her by order of postmark. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
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 yeah,
So that's showing, for me, that was showing the care that he had for Graham, because Graham died suddenly. So this woman
yeah,
who he's in love with is in an instant taken from him, and then all he has to hang on to are maybe the connection to her granddaughter and the care he can continue to show for her. But yeah, to order, and I don't even know the answer to this question. Did he read the letters? I'm guessing, maybe so.
I don't recall
Yeah.
whether or not there's description of how she opens them, because I
No.
don't think there's description
I
of
don't
her
think there
having to
is.
open them and break a seal.
Right,
No,
right,
but
Mm.
you just have her saying that she sees the postmark. I remember that part, but we
right,
don't hear her saying I opened the letter or anything like that.
And
Yeah.
it was
right.
like in the accordion folders, so
That's right.
somebody could have
Yeah,
organized it.
Mm,
right.
yeah.
And with the time issue, I was like, oh, undertakers or funeral coordinators, they still use those folders to this.
Yeah,
That's another thing that we talked about, how the town seems to be like in time but out of time.
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like it didn't click for me. It clicked for Dee Dee a little earlier. I missed some things, but when Katrina was mentioned towards the
Mm.
end of the book, I was like, "Oh shit, we here! Like
Yeah,
we
because
yeah,
before
here!"
yeah,
When Curtis's mother tells her, "Oh no, he's in Fort whatever," and then he's
Yeah, that's when you.
out
Yeah, I
to
missed it.
Afghanistan. I was like, oh, okay, so it's not 1940.
Yeah,
right, right,
I
right,
really felt like it has this real, yeah, like a 1940s kind of feel to it when I was reading the beginning. And then I quickly understood, okay, no, it's not 1940, so
yeah.
yeah. But
I
I
don't know
think
if you can. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
go ahead,
Didi.
Mike.
I just think it gives it character. But go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask because we read a book previously, like also happening in a small town. Did you base any of the characters off the people that you knew?
Mm.
If you can disclose it,
Oh,
if you can't, then that's fine. I don't know if they're
not
watching it or not.
yeah. No individual character. There were certain relationships that I drew from. I was really close to my grandfather, so when I look at Grandpa Gossett, for example,
Mm.
Yeah.
and he was a guy of few words, and he used to box. So he wasn't a horse racer, but he was a fighter, and that always became this just unique character. He was a fighter, and even at 78, 79, 80 years old, he still had certain instincts about him and certain, muscle memory. I even think I talk about, you know, Grandpa Gossett wanted to be a fighter, became a horse trainer instead. So that's something I may have drawn from my grandfather. When I look at this whole circle of mothering, I have an older sister, just the two of us. But my father left when I was 10 or something, so I inherited responsibility for you know keeping these folks together. And when I watch how I really hope my mother, my grandmother, my sister read this book in the light of, do we do any of that stuff? Is that us in any way? And not that they've gotten into any extreme circumstance, but
Yeah.
just, three women who, my sister looks so much like my mother. She'll die to hear me say that, but they're so similar, but they try to deny their similarities.
Yeah.
So I think I drew a little bit of that from, just having seen that relationship. But I don't think there's any individual character that I looked at and said, oh yeah, 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 I'm gonna put this person, not in this book, in another book, yeah, but not this one.
So did you feel like it was did you feel that it was difficult writing women characters in
Mhm.
this book because it's a very strong black woman type of book, and did you find that
And it
difficult?
doesn't feel forced.
No, not at all. I think
It
you did
does not. It doesn't feel forced at all.
at no point did I say this does not sound like what this woman would say. Never. So
Yeah.
you did a great job.
Well, thank you, thank you. And just from my upbringing, again, I'm raised from 10 on by my mother, my older sister there, lots of time with my grandmother. And there was even a period of time where, I don't know, my grandfather didn't have any use for me. I wasn't from New York City. So that, to me, that's strike one. I
Yes.
wasn't into martial arts, which he was, strike two. But then at around 13, 14, there's just something that we did together that he would have taken a brute force approach. And I took a little more, hey, let's think this through. Let's use a little bit of leverage. Let's do whatever it was. He realized, wait a minute, this kid can help me. He knows some stuff that I don't know. And that's when we really clicked and came together. But I saw him holidays every couple of months, every few months. So it was really a lot of time with my mother and sister and just seeing the things that they went through. You know, my mother was suddenly on her own and two kids to care for, and she had to piece things together. She had to find a job, she had to get an apartment. Um, Romance was it was awkward for all of
A
us.
non thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
or non-existent for long periods of time, non-existent. So I think it's just, I can't say that at 10 years old, I knew I wanted to be a writer, but at 10 years old, I think I started paying a lot of attention to people and how
Mm.
they interact and the things that, mannerisms and the things that they do, the things that they talk about. And, I think it came through, in this character, the, the editorial staff, from Jacaranda was also very helpful in just putting up enough guardrails. We get Penny into some dicey situations, but I try to never paint her as in an especially bad light. I don't want to. Jasmine Ward is one of my favorite writers on the planet, and in
Mm.
Sing Unburied Sing, she gives the same care and consideration for the drug-seeking, blown-out,
Yes.
Yeah.
derelict
Yeah.
mother that she does for the grandfather who's
Yeah.
trying to hold the whole family, or her father. She's trying to hold the
Father,
family
yeah.
together, and it's just that care for a character. So I
Mhm.
credit the editorial staff for just a turn of phrase. You might describe someone a certain way. She was loose. Was she loose, or was she you know neglected and lonely and seeking? And so we had lots of conversations about how do you present this character. And there are certain things that you know I'm thankful they took out in the editorial process. Again, not that I sought to really disadvantage her, but I think they had just a little more heightened sensitivity to, okay, if you're going to write this this woman, there's certain things you just can't do, and we're not going to let you do. And I think it all worked out.
Yeah, no, I think it's done. You did a really good job because
Yeah.
that sensitivity is very real. You feel like this, like someone even said in the comment section, she thought that it was a female author writing. So she, you do get that feeling very well. So you are a very intuitive person. You're listening very well to what you have heard through the years. So you've actually put it into your book extremely well.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And I also have two daughters and no sons, so it's just
Oh
continuing.
wow. You
Yeah,
just surrounded.
yeah,
You are
in a
surrounded.
good way, in a good way, in a
Yeah.
good way. It makes me
So
Yeah.
they want
I,
to
I,
know what you're working on now.
I have a couple of things in the works. Over the this lockdown, I just I don't know wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. So Edwidge Danticat was saying that she was going to write just to document where she was through all of this. And some of the things I wrote about are a little, I wouldn't say frivolous, but not so serious. I wrote a piece, Nana Kwame Adegia Brenya, Friday Black. He
Oh
had an
God, it's
online
so
oh my
good.
gosh.
Mhm.
Oh.
very early in the pandemic. He chose to do an Instagram live, and it was a workshop exercise that he's probably taken before, he's probably administered before, brought into his classroom, but he asked us to picture a beach. Okay. because we're all locked in our houses. Picture someplace else you'd want to be. My wife was from the Bahamas, and the first trip that she took me on back home, we went to visit her sister who was teaching at the time on this teeny tiny island, Harbor Island. And just landing there. So I wrote this piece called "Oh Blessed Bryland," because the natives call it Bryland. They don't call it Harbor Island. "Oh Blessed Bryland," and it just really documented my first trip to the Bahamas and being a black tourist in a black nation is interesting. And I think there are even people who've come up to me. I'm standing next to my wife, and they come to me, "Man, I know you, St. Thomas More, right? Nah, I didn't go to school here. I don't know none of y'all." But I think I look Bahamian, so people will talk to me differently. Even explaining some of the origin, the Bahamian flag, it's yellow for the sun, blue for the sea, black for the strength of the people. And a customs agent, explained that to me because he wanted me to know, you're coming to my country, don't come in like a typical tourist, learn something about this place. So that's one short story I wrote. I wrote another one about just an experience. Think about the summer before your first year of high school and how free you felt. And I wrote about that very close to home, very close to my own story, very close to my age. And that got picked up and published. There was another one I finally had to write about, just George Floyd. I just couldn't sit through all of this and not put pen to paper and talk about, but I didn't want to just hone right in on police brutality and the way blacks are treated. I presented it from the perspective of a first-time teacher who takes a job teaching middle school math the fall before the pandemic hits. So his first year teaching, he's got to help these kids navigate this space to go online and teach remotely. And there's a lone black kid in his class. And they discovered just after Memorial Weekend, they're in class, everybody's fidgety, and they discover the George Floyd video on their cell phones while they're in class. And he's got to help this lone black kid navigate his way through all of that. So that is what I did during the pandemic. But I also started I've got a couple of sci-fi pieces going. And, I mentioned I'm from Connecticut, after school in North Carolina, but I also live in Maryland. I've spent a lot of time sort of on the, mid-Atlantic states. So I got a couple sci-fi things going, one set in Philadelphia and one I'm not able to talk about so much, but it's in the sort of Delaware area.
I'm trying to contain my excitement. I think I'm failing because y'all are laughing at me.
So she got all giddy when she heard your two sci-fi pieces.
Yeah. But I just want to see us. I want to see us in the future. And if we don't write it, we're either not going to be there or we're not going to be in the future in a way that makes any sense. And the first piece is the one set in Philadelphia. It's a girl and her grandmother. And where that story came from, Brennick Adams is a graphic artist. And I saw a piece of his, somebody used it as a book cover since then, but it's this a robot with 6 arms and this little dark-skinned girl with a white dress and a red, ribbon around her waist. And with one of his robot arms, he's holding this translucent umbrella over her head to protect her from the sun. And she just has this look on her face. And I said, who is that girl? How is she so protected? How is she so important? And I started to write it. A different story. They're not robots. They're different beings. But it really comes back to, to me, there are beings that inhabit this planet that care about the planet as much as we do, if not more. It's their planet too. They don't have to be animals, but they're here. And they're trying to encourage us to do a better job. The other piece that I'm writing, I'm still working my way through it, but the sort of line I'm on at the moment is that there are beings from, within our galaxy who are really trying to discourage us. Stay where y'all are.
Stay your butt on Earth.
Yeah. Y'all making a mess over there. You're good out here.
Every planet ever.
Yeah. So those are the two things I'm working on now.
Great.
I love that. I got when you made the comment about us being in the future.
Mhm.
It
Yeah,
made me think of Whoopi Goldberg when she had a discussion at one point years ago about portraying Guyan on Star Trek,
right.
and taking that role because it needed to be seen that Black folk
That's right.
exist in the
That's
future.
right.
Mhm.
Yep.
And so yeah, I felt that with my whole heart. So
All right.
okay.
Okay, I see some questions. People want to know, why was it hard for them to find your book? Why is
Mm.
it not in audio or in ebook?
And that is, I'm still working to correct that.
Can we help
So
make that happen? That's
Yeah,
the
what can
end of
we
that
do
question.
to make you help that happen?
Yeah.
Can we do anything?
yeah, a way to make it happen is, this kind of just inviting me into this circle and having this conversation with me, and the number of people who have posted on social media. If you want to tag Jacaranda Books, I don't remember their full
I got it.
Instagram handle, but Jacaranda is
I'll go back and check that right now.
self-publisher in the UK. I came to them actually through Bernice McFadden. I don't know her
Mm.
personally. We interacted a little bit online, but I have followed her career and
Mhm.
watched where she published, watched where she submitted things, and it just suggested that a story like Sun is Sky might get some attention. And I submitted, and here we are down the road. It actually came together. But it's a Black woman-run small imprint, which is one of the things I was looking for. I was looking for something that would give me some international reach, some reach into West Africa, but their reach into the US market has been difficult. Now,
Yeah.
part of it is pandemic induced, but another part of it is just they did an initiative, and Dee Dee's familiar. They did a Black 20 and 20. They published 20 British Black authors in 2020, which is
Yeah,
commendable, but I'm not one of them.
yeah,
So there was
Mm.
some attention that went places that didn't benefit me necessarily. But we are back at the, you know, don't even say negotiating table, but we're back at the table, working. I don't have a final date from them, but there's supposed to be a re-release in the U.S. and I'm insisting
Great.
that, because if you think about a group of people like yourselves, I'm relatively unknown. You may not want to invest in a book. You might want to see an ebook. You might want to see another way of looking at the title before you invest further. So I'm asking them, this next go round, we have to do things a little differently. And
yeah,
part of it, I think they were trying to, kind of seed the opportunity in the US market, keep it open, so not flood it with every potential format. But this is the go now. If we do this in, this spring, if we're going to re-release, wide open. Let's get it as wide as we can in the US, because I don't want people to not be able to get access to it. Even
yeah.
worse, I saw a copy of this book somewhere online for $72 US, and
Oh,
I wrote it,
Yes,
and
that is true.
72. I don't want people to be gouged. I want it to be a real thing that's accessible to them and not something that is, dangled over people's heads. So we are working to correct that. And I've been working for, Dee Dee can attest, probably 2 years now
mm,
to see what we can do with the rights, trying to correct what we're doing with the rights, and now finally saying, okay, if Jacaranda is going to hold the rights, we're going to move to the North American market. Let's do it in the right way. So I'm
okay.
hopeful. So
Okay.
tagging
Well,
them
I
and
hope
making
that
it aware that
this,
the title
this
has interest will help.
I hope this read along has helped your book sales at least.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that are in the comment section that have been going along with this read along this month are living in America. So
Right,
they still ordered the book, even
Hmm.
right.
though it was hard to find in the US. They just went and ordered on Blackwell's or on I think Book Depository and things like
Book
that.
Depository,
Yeah, I
yeah.
did. I did Amazon, but I think it was fulfilled through Book
Yeah, I
Depository.
did the same thing.
Yeah,
So it's
Yeah,
pretty
and they
much
yeah.
told me,
Blackwell's and Book Depository were the two places where people ordered your book from if they lived
Yeah.
in the US. So, and I ordered mine during the pandemic, but through Blackwell's. But
Right.
I'm just
And it
glad
only
that
makes sense.
with it, that they still stuck with it and tried to get the book.
Right. I greatly appreciate that because it's set in the States. I'm a stateside author.
Yeah.
You know, the opportunity to consume. I've been delighted. I've seen, just comments from people in Edinburgh and Scotland and various places that I would have never, by myself been able to carry the book into. But the market that I really want to serve is still, unserved, largely unserved. And I'm trying to correct that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna cross our fingers.
Yeah, and we're gonna keep pushing it.
Keep pushing
Please.
it. Everybody in here, put your thoughts about our discussion tonight, and just don't forget to tag Jetta and also tag Jacaranda Books and Music.
Because I will say this is something that a lot of us who are avid readers and are looking for, like, I'm always on the lookout for new Black authors, and I am horrible at finding them myself. So I'm so grateful to book friends like Dee Dee and Michael who find things and share when they find them, so I can be like, okay, I'm gonna get it. And I own a lot of them that I haven't read yet. We'll get to them. But yeah, it needs to be known that, new authors who look like us and have covers of people who
I was
look
just
like
about to
us.
say, whose idea was the cover, Jetta?
This is gorgeous. Like, this is what we're looking for.
Cover.
Yeah, that came from, again, and it's, hats off to the editorial staff there. They hired a graphic artist and sat and talked to her and worked through the details. And I don't know. I've gotten more positive feedback from the cover than, and that's what happens. Somebody hasn't read a page yet, but they've seen the cover and it draws their attention. So I'm pleased with how that turned out.
Yeah, it's a beautiful cover. It's
Christina Schweikart.
Yeah, it's a beautiful cover.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's just hope that the U.S. edition has if it's not the same cover, it's a cover just as beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a really well done one. Okay, let me just see if there was any more questions. Michael, did you see any new questions in here?
Yeah, someone said, I noticed the breathtaking descriptions of sunsets and the sky. What made you include those descriptions?
That is, I don't know, that's a little bit of my personality that trickled in there. I'm just enamored with sunrises and sunsets.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. And described so well.
Yeah, we had to arm wrestle a little bit, though, because I think I'd have put 10 more sunset descriptions in there.
Okay, that's enough.
Yeah, that's just me. And then it played into the theme, sun and sky. So once we settled on the title and the theme, gazing up at the sky a little bit, they gave me some leeway.
No, I think it's great that they had those in there, because not only does it go with the theme, but it also allows you to show us what you can do. It gives you have a flex there.
Yeah.
That's right. And it's also part of having lived in the Northeast and then gone to the South. The sun just hits you differently. The first time I got on the plane in Greensboro, North Carolina, in August, the sun was right there. I was like, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the sunsets here in Georgia are like, and the sunrise.
Don't even. Just Michael, shut up, because you take pictures and film videos in front of them with your 15 whatever camera, and it's just beautiful.
Blue sky and not a cloud in the sky.
And we'll say, y'all see this moon? Y'all see this moon back here?
I think it's also because the way that the land is here, especially the city that I'm in, it was where the ocean used to be, like in ancient times. So the way the sun hits, it's really nice.
Yeah.
It's just really nice.
Let me just see if there's any more questions.
How are you on time, Mr. Mayberry? You had a short period of time to be with us. I want to honor that.
Yeah, I've got another 5 minutes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay, rapid question. Someone asked on here, who are some of your favorite writers, favorite
Oh.
titles?
Yeah, there you
It's
go.
always asked.
Yeah.
I've actually got.
We know
I
Jasmine
pulled out
Ward.
my.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Desmond Ward, absolutely, and by extension, Kiese Layman.
Yeah.
I pulled out my
Yes.
to be Red Stack, Disha Philia.
Yes.
You've read
My
that,
favorite,
Dee.
It's so
my
good.
favorite
That's on my
forever
list.
writer. This isn't my favorite
Oh,
book.
Oh, I
Edwidge.
read that.
Edwidge Shanti Cat.
Yes, Ed
I read
Beaver.
majority of her works. Yeah.
Yeah, the Farming of Bones made me feel like I shouldn't write. I can't do what she did, and then finally I decided I don't know what to do. I don't need to do what she did. I just need to
Oh,
do what I do.
that's that
But
short
I
story
really love what she
collection.
did.
That's that short story collection where that woman had the baby. Oh my god, that was so good.
Oh, the Little Axe. I have that on my
Oh,
TBR
yeah.
as well.
This is I've seen her a lot on Instagram. She's a very very bright person, and just seeing her how she talks about storytelling and how it came together. This is one that I needed to pick up.
You also wrote Till the Well Runs Dry.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah.
Liberty.
I
Oh,
want to read
I got that on
I
audiobook.
almost picked that up at Barnes and Noble the other day.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is my TBR. Two more real quickly. Punch Me Up to the Gods.
Oh yeah,
I don't
Oh, that's on my
normally
IT.
do.
I got that on audiobook.
Yeah.
Don't normally do nonfiction, but this is one that I want to read.
That
And
one
here's
is a
one that's going to surprise you.
What was that?
The
Serious.
Syrian
Rion
song.
Wilcox Scott, his 11-year-old son. So Rion has a couple collections of The World Does Not Require You, and his cover is just amazing. It's this black guy pushing the world away or being pushed away by the world. But his 11-year-old son wrote a book, and he wrote it kind of up by hand. And they went into Barnes and Noble, and he said, "Oh, Kiesi would like me to say Barnes and Nobles because that's how we say it." But they said, "You know, we'll do print on demand. We'll take a look at it," and he followed through on it. So I had to pick up the book just because you can't knock that kind of hustle. You can't
That's
knock that hustle.
amazing.
So Edwidge Danti Cott is my favorite of all time.
Yeah, I
Rebecca
like
Walker has a book, A Day, Alice Walker's daughter, and it's epic. It's fantastic. It's just this love story that'll tear your heart out. Yeah, I think that's and Jasmine Singh Unburied Singh we already talked about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Added that to my Kindle list.
Just make sure there's no more questions left. Okay, I think we have a few minutes
Yeah, I
left.
think we got them.
I think we got them all. But Jetta, we really want to thank you so much.
Yes,
thank
you so
you.
much.
For taking an hour out of your precious time to come and speak with us about Sun is Sky. And we wish you a lot of success in the US with this book. I know people are going to love it. And we will all be rooting for you, and we will be posting like mad.
Yes, and looking for the next one.
And we'll be looking for your next book for sure.
Yes. I mean, no pressure, but pressure.
Yes.
No pressure. I'm good.
But when you come up with your next book, you have to come back and talk to us about it as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to do it. And I really, really appreciate you all. For the people who picked up the book, you know, you just can't, I can't overstate how much that means, particularly given that you had to go to some lengths to get it. And yeah, tell your friends, and hopefully your friends come springtime, it'll be an easier get. So I appreciate the support, and I will be back if y'all will have me back.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah. This has been a very enjoyable conversation. So.
Yes, it has.
Right.
It's been very eye-opening as well from the writing of you too. So thank you so much. And we will definitely see you on the gram.
Okay. All right.
Oh, y'all need to follow Jetta on the gram. Come on now. Follow Jetta.
All right.
So that you can tag.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Jetta.
All right. Bye.
Okay.
All right. That was really good. That was
good.
really
Nice.
really
I've been following him since like 2014 or something.
Yeah.
He's really nice, and I have his first book, and I was looking for it earlier today so I could
Oh,
read it on, and I couldn't
it's
find
on
it.
here. It's
Uh,
on here on his
Yeah, it's in
author's
the
page.
first. Yeah.
It's
yeah,
the unheralded King of Preston Plains Middle.
yeah. This is a book about men and boys.
Mm.
I haven't read it, but I have it. Like I said,
I'm
I'm
intrigued to
looking
see
for it.
to read him writing about men
Yeah,
after starting here.
this
I'm
is
very
one of the
intrigued.
reasons why I was really anxious to get this one is because I knew it was about women, and I'm like, wow, he's made a jump here,
Yeah.
and I know how hard it is when you're trying to write, from the opposing sex. It's not easy to do that, and I think he nailed it for that. He nailed it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'm glad he took the time to come because he was like, "Oh, I can't be late for my wife's function."
Oh my god.
You didn't come from 9:30 to 10:30. Go, okay, that's perfect. I got just enough time to get right over to my.
On our little show.
I mean, literally, he was like, "Oh, I'm scared my wife is gonna be mad if I don't make it this function on time." Mm. So,
Yeah,
yeah. So,
it's available on Amazon. The issue is the shipping, how long it
Oh,
takes. Like
yeah.
it took Michael's much longer to get to him. I ordered after our last live. I placed my order
Oh, damn.
and it said that it was gonna be 2 weeks, but I ended up getting it within like 5 days. Flip that around. Michael orders his this year, and it actually took some time to get to
oh,
him.
it took.
So
Yeah, I was like,
That might have been because they didn't have enough copies.
that
maybe,
is true.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe.
because
it
when I checked on Amazon, it said only a couple copies left, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, so
This
I
is
was
the
like, let
problem
me go
right
look on Blackwells and stuff
Well,
like that.
that's the
there.
same thing they said for before I forget too.
And it has copies and then they run out.
Yeah.
So I think that is one of the reasons why there was a lot of delay for people getting their books is because there just weren't enough copies available when the order went through. But now so there's going to be a U.S. edition, hopefully coming out. We said in spring, so I cross my fingers that's what happens because it's true. It's a British company,
Hmm.
but he's American,
And
and
I didn't know that Jacaranda was. I don't research publishers.
yeah,
Oh
I
I
should.
no.
I mean,
should.
outside of what what I hear when they do shisty shit. But I didn't know that Jacaranda because Miss McFadden is under it. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
she's under it for her
Yeah,
last book,
yeah. I didn't know that
Butterfly
they
book.
were not U.S. based, or it did not have a U.S. extension at least.
Yeah. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that, being able, to hear him talk about his book, which I think expresses himself really well, and it's very
Hmm.
clear what he has in mind.
And
And
I think too that it's important, especially when for some of us, like I made the comment about the stops and starts and not
yeah,
being able to make connection with the character,
yeah,
especially when you have that kind of reading experience. Like I didn't completely not enjoy the reading experience. Like there were
yeah.
so many good things in here.
There are a lot of really
But
good things.
when you have that experience to get to talk to the author, hear them speak and hear them speak about
Yeah,
their work and where they were with that, it helps you to think about it in a different way.
yeah,
So I greatly appreciate it. I was
yeah.
a little nervous.
I think it's a sleeper though. I feel like this is a sleeper to a certain extent because it's not a book that people were reaching for like that. Even though when it came out in 2020, I think I saw maybe a post here, a post there, kind of thing. But I
I
feel
just
like,
need to go through your follows and be a real ass stalker and just go through the people you follow to see, because you see shit that I don't see until like 5 years later. The
yeah,
delay.
but
Hmm.
The
that's just
delay.
because, yeah, I be between communities. Okay, that's just me.
Oh, can I say something?
Mhm.
So Instagram is going to update soon, and they have this thing where you can categorize the people who's on your feed now. So make sure you tell your followers, everybody here, to favorite the ones that you really love, because there'll be a time when you can see who your favorites are, like just a timeline of your favorites. And
Yeah.
so adding them to
With
your
no
favorites,
ads.
make sure you
Oh
add
no,
them to
come
your.
on now. You know they're gonna be
Oh, there'll
ads.
be ads. No, I'm just saying that make sure you add the people that you really enjoy seeing as your
Yeah,
favorites, because it
absolutely.
will boost up their post and
Yeah,
you
to
can
boost up their
finally
post.
see what you want to see. I think the
Absolutely.
update is
Thank you
coming
for
up
that.
soon. So,
How did you find out about that? What the hell?
oh,
Oh,
it was
yeah,
on mine. It was
Oh,
on
okay.
mine
yeah,
Instagram. But Instagram releases every like their
yeah,
updates to small people, and then it keeps increasing.
yeah.
So that's why.
Well, they keep changing shit all the time. So I mean, it's just
Yeah,
like now they've taken to showing you posts that you're not even
and
following.
following.
Yes.
I'm like,
Share it,
girl,
share it with
show
you
me the shit
because
I'm
you
not
follow.
following.
Bitch, if I wanted to follow this person, I would have followed this person.
I mean,
Show me who I'm
Also,
following.
make sure you guys go get merch. Look.
Yes.
yay!
Yes. I
I
got
thought
the
about
hoodie
putting
too.
on my
Yes. Hold on, wait.
my
I'm gonna be
hoodie.
adding some new merch, probably in the next week or so.
I should have got my mug too.
I was thinking the
Oh,
same thing, but I was drinking cold. So
yeah,
I know,
I'm
I'm drinking cold pop.
water. So, and I'm not wearing a shirt today. You wearing a shirt, so you rap.
yes, thank you.
Before we go, do we have any idea of November book before we? I know
No, but you know what we're doing? We're
that's
doing
years away, but still.
in July. We're doing
Oh,
Three Musketeers.
Yes!
yes! Oh my god.
Yes!
I've never wanted.
Oh my
I've
fucking
always wanted
goodness!
to read that,
Oh
and I don't.
yes!
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
and there is a
So,
copy that is translated from one of my favorite translators. Oh my god, I'm excited.
Wait,
so
who?
I've got the
Send it
one
to
that
me.
has like
Send
the
it to
little
me because I
comic
can
It's
deal
the
with some
one.
other copies. I mean, I
It's the
have
one with
one, but I
the
can get another one.
picture of. It looks like a comic,
Yeah, that's
like
the
a
one
That's
that I
the
comic.
have.
one that's the one Dee Dee has.
Yeah, that's the one I
Yes, that's the copy that
have. I
I
got
want to
mine
get.
from Shakespeare and Co. You know.
Hold on.
Oh,
That's exciting because I've always
so yeah,
wanted to
so
read
that's
that.
gonna be the
Here I
next
am in the
bullet in line.
fucking US. Okay.
Yes, it's the Three Musketeers,
Three Musketeers.
translated by Richard Pevier, because he, along with his wife, translated a lot of Russian novels, some Russian novels that I read,
Yeah.
like The Cat and Margarita. Oh my god, this looks so good. Their translations are really good. I like how they explain things, especially like in the back, like
Okay.
explaining the history of things to get context within the story. I like their translations.
Okay. So if y'all are interested in that, that's what you need to be picking up next is the Three Musketeers. Now, if you don't want to buy it, there's always a possibility to get it on Audible as
Hmm.
well instead of
And
getting.
it should be. I think this is like one of those stories where you can kind of find it free legally
I think you
because
can. Yeah,
yeah,
you can.
so everybody
I'm
can read
sure
it.
you could get it on Scribd.
Oh
On
yeah,
Scribd, you could probably get both. You could probably get the
I am so excited to read about D'Artagnan. Y'all have no fucking idea. I cannot wait.
D'Artagnan.
I'm never okay. Well, you need to be prepared that I'm just not gonna say his name right. It's gonna be hella
D'Artagnan.
country.
So yeah, so that should be a fun read for us since we did enjoy reading The Count
Buffy
of
got
Monte
up like, why are you
Cristo.
yelling?
It was the bomb. So the Three
the Count of Monte
Musketeers,
Cristo. Yes.
Yes.
that's gonna be bomb too, and that's in July. So
So
I
excited.
will probably put something out. I don't know, what do we probably put something out in April so that
Okay.
people can kind of decide if they really want to read that with us. But it's not as long as
Count of Monte Cristo.
yeah. It's not as long as that because the Count of Monte Cristo was like
It
1,200
was
pages.
1,200 pages
The
of
Three
excellence.
Musketeers is around 650 pages, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this edition is 736.
Okay,
Chump change.
sorry, I was
Chump
thinking
change.
76.
Can you, Michael? Can
637
you
pages.
send me the link to that
Oh yeah,
edition, please? Because
yeah.
I can't find it on Amazon. Thank you.
I'll send it.
Because that's the one that I want as
So
well.
Tanya, it's not next month, dear. It's in July. It's next month for the Read So Lit Book Club. Now
It's
that's
next month for the Read So Lit Patreon
which,
book club. And
which
if you are not a
was like
member of
the
the
Reading Black
hashtag Read
Mom
So
before.
Lit Patreon book club, this is our opportunity to plug this. You can definitely go to Patreon and just search Read So Lit and the book club will come up. There are tiers that you can subscribe to on Patreon, and we have excellent book club discussions. I know they're excellent, even though I don't make them all because, I'm trifling. But join us.
Let's see if we can get the edition of the Three Musketeers so people can see it. This is the one that I have. That let me just see if I can pull it up for you guys.
I can go grab the one that I have. It's in my library.
Huh, that edition is not showing up on here on Amazon.com.
See, that I couldn't find it either.
Oh, you know what
That's-
you have to do?
Okay, yes, Lola, be back.
Put in Penguin next to it.
Ah, yeah, here it is. Okay, I sent it. I'm gonna send it to the group chat.
Okay, send it to the group chat so people can kind of see it. Wait, why is there no? Come on now, what is this?
I don't know if it'll post on here because it'll be a link, so I don't think anyone can.
Well, if you
click
can,
on it.
Okay, this
look up
is
to the.
Okay.
This is the edition that I have. This is the Barnes and Noble Classics edition, and just for frame of reference, this is the Count of Monte Cristo. These are the differences. Wait, let me go in. Let me go back to back. This is the difference in the size and how thick the books
Yeah,
are. So
that's
it's a big difference. If you made it through the Count of Monte Cristo with us, which was amazing, you can't even see my tabs. Alexander Dumas he's amazing.
Oh wait, here it is. I found a picture on Goodreads. Okay, this is the edition right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like it looks like a little comic strip on the front.
Oh, I thought the Folio Society would have an edition, but apparently they don't.
No. Can you imagine how
Oh wait, yes they
expensive that would
do.
be?
Oh
they?
my God, they do have
The
an edition.
Folio Society has an
But what does
edition.
it look like? What the pictures look like though?
It's 350
That's what I'm saying.
dollars.
It would be huge.
Pictures don't always be looking right.
It would be huge.
In my opinion, they don't always be
The
looking
pictures. Okay,
See?
I mean,
See, told you. See, it ain't
Yeah.
good, huh?
nah.
Not $300.
Alicia,
Spend money on the
stop.
Beloved by Toni Morrison. That's a good Folio
Alicia,
Society
you can
edition.
read.
Oh yeah,
you
the
can read
Beloved.
it. Get the audiobook if all
And
else
get
fails.
Kindred. Gorgeous.
Oh, Kindred.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet this-
Oh yeah,
But yeah.
I have Kindred.
Oh
as
wait, hold
well.
up, it's
I don't
sold
want
out.
y'all to see my opinion.
Ah, it's sold out again.
Yeah, sold out. Okay.
Again. Oh, child. Look at Alicia. It's still a big book though.
It is, Alicia. You can do it.
Come on, Alicia.
Here is the edition of
the
Kindred.
last
This is one side. This is you can't even see the other side really with my light, but
But Alicia, you don't have to get the book. Get the audio. Stop playing, girl. Get the audio.
it's this, and it is
That's a gorgeous one.
oh, that's my sales receipt. It's absolutely gorgeous.
That was definitely worth my money when I saw that.
Yes.
I didn't even drop. I didn't even breathe. I just went right on.
This
there.
is my first purchase from Folio Society,
Oh.
and it will probably be my only purchase. This is her Saving Rufus. It will probably be my only purchase from Folio Society.
No, purchase more.
Beloved. It's so pretty, Beloved.
Yes.
It's gorgeous.
Now I have a stack of books on my desk.
And the pictures do help if you're not used to Toni Morrison. Like the pictures do help, in my opinion.
Gorgeous.
Yes, the picture of the back.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So anybody in here that has difficulty reading big books and wants to join in on this read along for the Three Musketeers, I say just get the audio. Get the audio and don't sweat it. But all I'm gonna do is, just so that people can kind of have like a sort of like a schedule, is I will separate it over the month. And in that way, who knows, we might even pop in for a mid-month discussion, maybe, if we have time. If Michael and Tatiana have time.
I'm good. I'm sorry. I'm placing my order for this edition.
We might pop in on Instagram for just like a quick little discussion,
Instagram does not like me.
Oh, okay, so
Did
we're
you
doing
see
it
the
on here.
Instagram live that I did with
Yeah, I know, it was terrible.
it was horrible. Instagram does
One
not
minute
like
she
me.
didn't have no sound. The next minute it was throwing her off. It was I don't know what was going on that day.
I'm gonna just let Instagram be its own thing.
I don't know if Clothbound has Three Musketeers. I don't think it does, but
I
I
just
could be
placed my
wrong.
order. It'll be here Monday.
Wow, damn, you ready? She ready.
I'm
I
trash.
don't
I'm
think
trash.
Michael does Clothbound have Three Musketeers. I don't think it does.
I haven't seen the
I haven't seen that in Clothbound. Oh, Amalala said no, they don't.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything.
I didn't think so because Clothbound is very specific what they've done in that particular range
The
of books.
list of books that I will be getting in April is ridiculous. It's really not. It's only 3, but it's 3 new releases, and I don't do that.
Oh, look at Alba, honey. She didn't already read the Three Musketeers.
Okay.
She read it after the count.
And she did what I said that I was gonna do and didn't do because I
Alba.
frequently lie to myself. So thank Alba, you're ahead of the game.
But Alba, you can
Look at
still
how
come in and
fat
join and
this
discuss
thing
with
is.
us because
Look
you
at how
always got some
fat
good
this
thoughts.
is.
Wow. Yeah, that was a massive one.
It was so good.
It
And I
was
will
good.
probably the next time I read this, because let me turn this light off. I used yellow and blue
Yeah.
or green and blue tabs.
Yeah,
I
green and
will
blue.
probably do different 2 colors the next time I read this. Because I'm pretty sure I missed some things that I wanted to tab because I
I'm
was
sure you'll
just
see
so
something every
engrossed.
time you go on there. I mean,
Yeah.
and reread that, you'll probably see something new. All right. So Alicia said, I'll have the audio. Okay, Alicia.
That works. That works.
I
She
think
said that
Tanya's
like
gonna
we're
do
gonna have a
audio
problem
too.
with it.
Tanya's like, ooh, okay, audio it is. We got 2 audios in there. Oh.
Sorry, Tanya. I need y'all to make peace with the big books. I was about to call it something else. I need y'all to make
Big
peace
book.
with the big books. They love you.
Yeah, big
They
books are
love
great.
you.
Story's great. You don't care how big it is. You don't care how big it is. So it has been a great evening. Started
Yes.
out kind of rocky, kind of weird,
But we got it.
but we got
We
it.
got it.
Matters. How many tabs you got in this one? I got tons of tabs.
I have no tabs because
Because
if I was reading this by itself, I probably would have tabbed. I will go back because there are definitely some places that's what irritated me when we were talking about stuff and I was like, give me the page number because I couldn't fucking find it because I didn't tag anything.
Yeah.
So I will probably go back and do that probably tomorrow before book club and do some tabbing.
Yeah, I tabbed, and I have funny things. Like I put like little faces and stuff. Like, what?
The exchange between Mrs. Graves, Mr. McCullough, Miss Thula, and Mrs. McCullough when Penny and her sister come into the salon,
Yeah.
and it's just like, why is Miss Thula cowering in the corner? Like,
Yeah.
ma'am,
No,
everybody know.
when Penny told off Musad for smacking, for pushing her sister down like that.
Mushing, yo, when
That was
I
the best
read
scene.
he mushed her,
Yeah, he mushed her.
all I could think was some dude putting his hand in my sister's face
Yeah.
having to call my father the next day to let him know that I needed bail.
Yeah. She was like,
Oh my word.
and her sister was going right back with them anyway. I was just like, ew.
It's I
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's a reality. Anyway.
It is. And it is. It's very real.
Yeah. It was
It's very
that part was
real.
very
And they
real.
had their own little circle situation going on too, because he wasn't the only one she wasn't the only one that he was dealing with.
No. So that's why it's like it was kind of interesting parallel to what we were seeing in the village.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think he did a really good job on this one. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's not perfect,
It's not
but
perfect, and even, but I
even
still, I
so,
think
I still
there's
liked it.
I think there's value in reading books that are, because this was very different for me. And I when we had to talk about, someone said that it reminded them of J. California Cooper's
Yeah.
writing, and I had not read J. California Cooper,
What have you
and
got?
to have that comparison, I was like, okay, well that makes sense because short stories don't always work for me.
But you will
So
love Jay California Cooper. You'll love it.
I have one book by her. I haven't read it yet.
What have you got? Homemade Love?
No,
Oh,
Some
is
some
it
pain,
some soda key? Something.
some
no,
pain,
it's the one with some blank. Oh, what is it
some
called?
something, some pain, I think it is.
Yes, that's what it
Yes,
is.
that's it. That's it. I was about to get up
I
and go
haven't
get it.
read that one, but I've read Homemade Love, A Piece of Mind, Family. Family is like it's like a short novel. But Homemade Love is short stories. A Piece of Mind is short stories. And I read another one. I can't remember what it's called though right now.
Yeah. So
But they're
like, yeah, I
all
have
really
to
good.
I have to spend time with short stories. That's when I struggle a little bit at the beginning with She Would Be King, because it's
Oh, I
written
haven't read that.
it has a short story format. They're connected, but it has a
Okay.
short story format. And that was very difficult for me, and I ended up really enjoying it, but it was
Yeah.
very difficult for me to get
Mm.
into. And that's what happened with this. And then when it would hit those moments, like, the description of her miscarrying, or the
Mhm.
description when she goes, the description of her with Curtis and things, it would hit
Yeah.
those moments. I was like, man, this is really good. And then we're like,
Mm.
fuck, it's over already.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah, because that's the effect of the that kind of vignette feeling it has.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
as if though you're it's almost like as if you had a photo album and you as you turn the pages, oh yeah, you
There's
remember
a different story for each photo. Yep.
every time you turn the page, you get like 3 or 4 different stories,
Yep.
and that's pretty much how the book is set up because you have those 5 big sections, and then within those 5 sections, you have big chapters, and under the big chapters, you have these smaller sections,
Mhm.
and it's an interesting way of
It's an
putting.
interesting format.
Yeah, the format. I don't think I've
Mhm.
seen this format before, so
I know I haven't.
I don't think I have. I don't think I have. I mean, I've read a lot of books, but I think I would remember if I had this kind of format. And I think yeah, it's pretty particular, but it's special. Um but yeah, I think he did a really good job with it. And there's some places that could be improved, but I mean, nobody
And
does anything perfectly.
I like that he shared the information about Jacaranda, the editing team looking at it, and him him going along with, for lack of a better term, because a lot of times you have authors who are so stubborn,
Yeah.
and they're like, this is mine, you can't change it, that they're not willing to listen
No,
to that.
he was pretty open. He
Yeah,
was trustworthy because he wanted them to put his book on the right track. And I
yeah.
think that was done because, we can clearly see what's next before the Musketeers.
The Musketeers is next
No, there's no the read-alongs are February, July, and October.
in October.
Okay, because your girl got to read for herself. Okay.
No, you don't just have to read for yourself. You have to read for yourself. You have to read for the book
For the book
club.
For the
club,
You
book
have
you
to
have to
club,
read
read
for the
for
BookTube prize
and I
prize.
have to read for my book club here in Normandy as well.
and
Like,
your book
I'm
club in
already
Normandy.
like on Monday, I'm starting the committed for my book club here, which is Bid
See?
10-1. So yeah, your girl. I would have loved to do it every month, but I just can't. Okay, can't. So it's February, July, and then October.
October
So October will be for the Black History Month in the
in the
UK. So
UK.
I'm already looking. Okay.
Yay.
But I need a little bit more time, to
Good.
come up with
Yeah.
something. that's going to be good for October. That will blow your socks off, hopefully. So that's it. Thank you all for coming. I hope you
Go
enjoyed
follow
it.
Jetta Mayberry.
Yeah. Thank you, Jetta, for coming by.
Yes.
That was wonderful. And we will see you all in July. So just look out on Instagram for the announcements again for the Three Musketeers. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.